Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Hearing Him First. This happens to be number 23, and it's part 6 in a little series we're doing called Power Prayers. And last week we were looking at powerful prayers that the Apostle Paul prayed over the churches and the people that he sent the letters that make up much of the New Testament. Today we're looking at power prayers, maybe starting a little series in Psalms. So we might camp out in Psalms this week and look at some powerful prayers there from people like David or some unnamed psalmists, maybe Asaph or the sons of Korah. Or today we're looking at a psalm that is attributed to Moses, and one of my favorites for a long time. So it's Psalm 90, and it's verse 12, 14, and 17 that we're going to look at. That might seem a little awkward to skip around a little bit. That's a psalm that just seems like it goes back and forth between some positive things and some negative things, and some good, helpful stuff, and some stuff that also resonates and is very helpful. And that's life. You know, sometimes in life we just vacillate back and forth between the good and the bad, the sweet and the sour. So I will read verses 12, 14, and 17 of Psalm 90 to you, and then we'll talk about it. Psalm 90 says, verse 12 says, "Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." And I memorized that passage a long time ago. Then verse 14 says, "Satisfy us in the morning with your unfailing love, that we may sing for joy and be glad all of our days." And then skip down to verse 17, the last verse. "May the favor of the Lord our God rest upon us. Establish the work of our hands, Lord. Establish the work of our hands." And like I said, it bounces back and forth a little bit. I didn't read sort of the intervening verses 13, 15, 16. You can read those. And it almost seems a little neurotic, which I resonate with. I don't know if you do or not. But it does go back and forth, and life goes back and forth. And our relationships often go back and forth. And so I think that fits. These are 3 of the more positive verses. And like I mentioned, verse 12, this idea of teaching us, this is a prayer. This whole psalm is a prayer written to God. And in verse 12, there's this request that God would teach Moses, teach us to number our days aright, to have a bigger perspective, to see the big picture, and to understand the importance and the value of each day, and to gain a heart of wisdom. Heart of wisdom to me would mean that from inside it wells up this heart of wisdom, the heart being the thing that drives us, that motivates us. And to have a heart of wisdom means that we would see the world as God sees it, that we would see ourselves as God sees us, that we would see Him as He is, and that we would see others as they are. And that's been a theme recently for us. And oftentimes when I hear a clock ticking, I will say these words: "Teach me to number my days aright, Lord, that I would gain a heart of wisdom, that I would make the most of the time that I have, that I would have the right perspective, and that I would see things the way God sees them." Then verse 14 has been a favorite for a long time as well. This idea that we would seek to be satisfied in the morning with His unfailing love, that we would sing for joy and be glad all our days. That's really one of the main themes, it could be a theme verse for the whole Hearing Him First series. And this idea that when we hear Him first, when we wake up and spend those first moments of the day genuinely satisfied in God's unfailing love, hearing Him first and hearing Him clearest and loudest throughout the day of all the other voices and all the other noise, that for me has been essential and continues to be essential. And when that gets short shrift and I don't spend the day or start the day reflecting on His unfailing love and being satisfied in that, I feel it, especially after multiple days in a row. So I want to encourage you with that, and to find ways to whether it's writing out things that you're thankful for, or spending time in God's Word, returning to passages that are particularly encouraging to you, that maybe are life verses for you, that you would sing for joy and experience gladness, and do so even in the face of afflictions, which the next couple of verses talk about the afflictions and the troubles that come in our normal daily lives. That will be a big part of His favor resting on us. And when we live from that place of being satisfied in God's love, and we're able to approach our day from a place of love instead of for a place of love, that's going to make a huge, huge difference in our ability to be rooted and established in love. And he talks in verse 14, may the favor of the Lord rest upon us, establish the work of our hands for us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. I see this all working together, that when we learn to number our days aright, when we learn to have a godly perspective and gain that heart of wisdom, then we will be satisfied in the morning with His great love, and we will sing for joy and experience His gladness, even in the difficult moments throughout the day. And the result of that will be that the favor of the Lord will rest upon us, and we will be so rooted and established in love that we will experience His favor, and that the things that we set our hands and our minds to will succeed. So I'll just encourage you with that today. Maybe spend some time, get out a journal, reflect upon that. I'd love for you to share maybe one or two of your favorite prayers in the book of Psalms, prayers that you return to over and over again. Maybe we'll share that or spend some time with that. If you joined us late, you can start over with this in a few minutes when it posts. As always, if you like this, share it with somebody. Share it with somebody that would be encouraged by it. And if you haven't already done so, go to YouTube, search for Hearing Him First, and subscribe to the page. If you missed any videos, you can always catch up with them there. And we'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. God bless.